The Backrooms. You've been here before. Level 128, The Great Outdoors. Survival difficulty. Class 1. Safe, secure, minimal entity count. Level stability. Dawn. Assigned meg teams. Trailblazers, Lazarus. Level 128 is an exterior level of the Backrooms, with many connections to other levels. Image caption: Thick fog of level 128. Photo taken during Trailblazer expedition. Description: Level 128 is a flat field of grass, 60 centimeters tall, extending seemingly forever in all directions, with a constant layer of fog making it impossible to see anything beyond 1 kilometer. The sky is a perpetual dull blue with no apparent sun, as there is no apparent day-night cycle. Time is based on BST. Footnote: Backroom synchronized time, a singular time zone used by the Meg across the entire Backrooms. End footnote. Periodic winds sweep across the level, though wind speeds have never been reported as higher than a strong breeze. Explorers have noted a faint scent of ozone pervasive throughout the level, growing stronger as the wind picks up. The level exhibits a gravitational anomaly wherein objects in freefall will rapidly slow before touching the ground, greatly minimizing injuries caused by uncontrollable entry into the level. This anomaly seems to have an upper weight limit somewhere beyond 500 kilograms, at which point it fails to trigger. The level's most significant properties are the structures that appear within it, the rooms and the pillars. Rooms. A room is a singular room or hallway taken from a seemingly random level suspended mid-air in a fixed position, with elevation ranging from 25 to 70 meters above the ground. There is no apparent pattern to their placement, height, or size, with the only constant characteristic of each being that they originate from interior-only levels. The walls of each room are transparent from the outside, making it possible to see the room's contents. These rooms are not simply imitating those from other levels, they are actually connected to their corresponding levels, forming level 128's sole entrances and exits. From within, it is nearly impossible to distinguish whether or not the room connects to level 128, with the only known methods being to damage the walls or floor of different rooms until the level can be seen through one of them, though the probability of this method succeeding is extraordinarily low, or by finding a previously made opening left by another explorer. These holes are a two-way connection to level 128, and can also be made by explorers who manage to climb up to and breach the rooms from level 128. Any room with a hole or opening allowing access to level 128 is referred to as, quote-unquote, breached. Explorers should take caution around breached rooms that may connect to dangerous levels, as these are the only known ways for entities to enter level 128. Notably, no entities have ever demonstrated the ability to breach a room, and several explorers have reported seeing entities traveling through non-breached rooms, completely oblivious to their observers. Unlike the levels most of these rooms originate from, they have never been observed to move or change on their own, even after sustaining some amounts of structural damage. As a result, once a room has been breached, it is theoretically possible for any explorer to find this passage again. However, if a room is damaged to the point of its near total destruction, it may, quote-unquote, detach from its level, cutting off that access point and causing the room to fall to the ground. An explorer who witnessed this event from within its level of origin claimed that the door to the room itself disappears, leaving no trace of the room's existence. Footnote: Although the explorer avoided discussing the cause of the room's destruction, traces of explosive materials were discovered in and around the debris. End footnote. Pillars. The pillars are enormous rectangular structures, exactly 20 by 20 meters wide and long, that extend seemingly infinitely into the air, and potentially just as deep into the ground. Though they are apparently cut at perfect 90-degree angles, their porous surfaces gives them a very rough texture. All pillars are arranged in a perfect grid formation, with each pillar exactly 1 kilometer away from those directly adjacent to it. Due to the fog throughout the level, this means that often only 1 or 2 pillars are visible at any given time. The material that the pillars are made from is an unidentified porous stone, which has since been named pillar rock. Pillar rock has proven difficult to study due to its apparent resistance to any attempts to scratch, chip, melt, corrode, or otherwise damage it. More information can be found in its object entry. Bases, communities, and outposts. Meg Outpost Bravo. Constructed next to a pillar under study by Research Team Lazarus, a chain link perimeter and temporary laboratory was constructed around its base. Consists of a housing structure, a primary headquarters, and a garage for storing BNTG commissioned vehicles for use by recon team Trailblazers during Trailblazer project missions. 2 nearby rooms connect to Level 4, Abandoned Office, and Level 20, Warehouse, with most furnishings removed and a section of the floor cut out to make way for a set of elevators. BNTG Trade Station 11, constructed between 2 pillars. Average population between 20 to 25 people, primarily focused on trade imports and exports between the connected levels. Close to 4 separate rooms. As its relative location to Outpost Bravo is unknown, these are currently the only known way to reach the trade station. Survivor outposts. During excursions, Team Trailblazers would periodically discover small groups or settlements of explorers. Although their locations have been cataloged, their locations will not be disclosed by this document for their own protection. Several groups that were escorted to Outpost Bravo by the Trailblazers have been listed below. 2 explorers from Level 19, attic floorboards, who claimed that the floor collapsed beneath them. An interview can be found in the first attached file below. A group of 3 explorers with a makeshift tent. A 4th was nursing their injured arm in the tent. Trailblazers was able to provide medical assistance. Based on their testimonies, the group likely entered from Level 34, sewer system, having discovered a breached room left by a previous explorer. This room has yet to be located. Other notable events and settlements reported by the Trailblazers. A small infestation of clumps were found approximately 6 kilometers from Outpost Bravo. They had fallen from a hole from an unidentified level, and were wandering about aimlessly before attempting to attack the Trailblazers. After reinforcements were called in, the infestation was neutralized and the room was destroyed. A permanent settlement containing over 75 members constructed between 4 pillars. Based on interviews with various members, it was initially a group of 7 explorers who were trapped on Level 128 after they passed through a breached room on Level 4, Abandoned Office. A small nomadic group that had begun to worship the pillars, believing them to be structures created by some greater being. They periodically returned to the larger settlement to restock on supplies before returning to their travels. Entrances and exits. Entrances. Level 128 can be accessed by no-clipping out of any rooms that appear within the level, or through a breach made in one of these rooms. Based on the rooms already documented, it seems possible that Level 128 possesses connections to every level consisting of artificial interior spaces. The most easy way to access the level is through a passage created by a previous explorer, as these will not disappear or change over time. Exits. The same process for entering Level 128 can also be used in reverse. However, As all of the rooms are suspended in midair, it is significantly more difficult to exit level 128 than it is to enter it, and practically impossible without any form of supplies or preparation. Attached files found. File Kelly Patter's interview. Open file Meg level 128 interview 1.rtf. Transcript of Lazarus interview 128 rivers K/R. Level 128 Great Outdoors. Forward. The following is a transcription of an audio interview recorded at Outpost Bravo by research team Lazarus agent Catherine Rivers interviewing rescued explorer Kelly Patters following her and Robert Johnson's extraction from level 128 by recon team Trailblazers. Johnson declined to be interviewed, citing a need to, quote, spend some time alone under a roof, end quote. Begin transcript. Rivers. Okay, Kelly, let's start with how you're feeling right now. Kelly. Well, relieved. I'm just glad I can talk to other people. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rob's good company, but it feels great to talk to someone else. You know? Rivers. Believe me, I completely understand. I can hardly imagine what it was like to be out there. Speaking of, how long would you say you were there? Kelly. That's a question. The lighting never changes out here, and I've never really had a good sense of time. I'd say it was a week, maybe 2. After a while, it all started blending together. All I really remember now was the fog, honestly. And all the walking. God, the walking. The only thing that kept my mind off of how much my feet were killing me, wading through that grass, was watching each pillar we passed loom out of the fog. Pause. I thought a lot about the pillars, about how off they seemed. I don't know if it was my state of mind or just the way this place works, but as we approached one, it never seemed to get any closer, just clearer. Then, before we knew it, it was behind us, and the fog began to part for the next one. We talked to each other, of course. It was probably the only thing keeping us from just wandering away from each other, getting lost out in the grass. But after a while, I could tell we both stopped paying attention to it. It had become automatic, just like the walking. But eventually, we heard the sound of those cars your team was using. And it's like the trance was broken. We started making some noise, and the next thing I knew, we were on our way here. Rivers, what led you here? You said you came from level 19, attic floorboards. I'd like to know the rest of the story. Kelly, thinking. Well, Rob and I met up on level 1, habitable zone. We were both looking for supplies when we met up, and we thought it'd be a good idea to team up, strengthen numbers, right? It went well. We camped out there for maybe 3 or 4 days, gathering supplies and fortifying our own little area. Then it went to shit. We had just begun to open a crate, I don't remember what was in it anymore, when all the lights around us began to flicker and die, one by one. The darkness surrounded us fast, and we heard sounds, snarling and scratching and other things. We were defenseless, but thank God, Rob grabbed me by the arm and pulled me towards a hole he found in the wall. We started crawling through it, and the sounds faded fast. The document you have for 19 doesn't really do the experience justice. That space is tight. Maybe it was just our entrance, but it wasn't much taller than that hole we came through. And it was dusty, too. Every move we made kicked up enough dust that my eyes were watering. All I could hear for the next few hours was us shuffling, the floor creaking beneath us, and the occasional moth fluttering around the lights. Then, suddenly, the creaking turned to a horrible groan, then a crunch, then we fell. It felt like we fell for miles, but the end-over-end freefall turned into a more gentle glide. Then, when I finally touched the ground, it was like I had been gently laid down on a straw mattress. I was screaming, apparently, but I hadn't realized it until I landed and felt my hoarse throat. After a few more seconds, I felt Rob land next to me, and we both laid motionless for maybe an hour, just staring up at the room floating maybe 30 meters above us. The room continued maybe about 10 meters on either end of the giant hole we made. Then Rob got to his feet and said we should start looking around. He helped me to my feet, and, well, we started walking. You know the rest. Rivers. Thank you very much, Kelly. I know this hasn't been an easy journey for you two, but I will make sure that you're brought to another level soon. Kelly. Oh, thank God. The sooner I get out of here, the better. Rivers. Is something wrong? Kelly. Those goddamn... I'm sorry, it's the pillars. There's just something about them that really gets to me. Maybe it's the height, or their size, or the way they disappear into the fog above. But leaning back, looking up at them, makes them suddenly feel a lot closer, like they're leaning over to look back at me. But it's not just the closeness. There's also this feeling, like they're watching me, like silent judges who know everything about me. Maybe that's why they lean closer. Prolonged silence. Kelly, in a quiet voice. I'm sorry. Can I leave? Rivers. Yes, I think that will be all. I think we could all use a bit of fresh air, eh? Let's call it there, and get you ready for level 4. Abandoned office. End transcript. File Trailblazer project. Open file meg-lvl128-tbs.rtf. Trailblazer project summary. Level 128. Great Outdoors. Project status. Active. Project summary. Discover and utilize the consistent connections between level 128 and many other levels throughout the Backrooms. Purpose. The pervasive nature of level 128 and its many stable connections to other levels makes it an incredibly valuable asset for the Meg, as a reliable route for supplies and personnel transportation, as well as for advancing backroom societies as a whole. Future development of infrastructure and large-scale settlements could potentially lead to level 128 functioning as a new major nexus or central hub of activity throughout the Backrooms. Method. Meg Recon Team Trailblazers was assembled, consisting of team lead Marcus Holt and agents Wyatt Pierceton and Taylor Jones. These agents were selected based on their skills with navigation and cartography, as well as their prior experience in navigating exterior-type levels. Team Trailblazers is tasked with navigating level 128 and identifying the levels and approximate locations of each new room, reporting updates back to Outpost Bravo every 2 hours, or upon the discovery of a new room. In order to accurately map the locations of the rooms, a reliable system must be established to determine their relative locations. Fortunately, the consistent grid pattern of the pillars has allowed the Meg to form a simple 2-dimensional coordinate grid with Outpost Charlie's pillar representing 0, 0. Using this system, each room can be assigned a set of approximate decimal coordinates in order to pinpoint their near-exact location more easily and navigate between them. Problems and solutions. Although a system of reliably locating previously discovered rooms has been created, the issue of distance and navigation between these points remains prevalent. The long distances, coupled with the tall grass and thick fog throughout the level, render travel extremely tedious, and navigating throughout level 128 takes a tremendous amount of time and energy. To combat this issue, the Meg has commissioned the first generation of off-road automobiles from the BNTG engineering department in exchange for Trailblazer assistance in establishing their own supply routes to and from Trade Station 11. These vehicles are designed to hold 6 agents each, and are equipped with custom-designed Pyroil engines and a large fuel reserve to allow extremely long-distance travel. In exchange for Trailblazer assistance in establishing their own supply routes to and from Trade Station 11. These vehicles are designed to hold 6 agents each, and are equipped with custom-designed Pyroil engines and a large fuel reserve to allow extremely long-distance travel. 3 of these vehicles are currently in use by Team Trailblazers.